So today we're speaking about...
Not disturb. Can you turn it on?
there's a shortcut for it.
I know. Do not disturb is now on. Okay, we're good. I just wanted to tell somebody what to do.
Yeah.
I feel like an assistant.
Speaking of telling somebody what to do, today's topic is
Just gonna
about...
tell me how he bosses me around.
No, about bossing kids around. Actually, today's topic is about raising kids. I think your parents raised you really well.
Well, that's
And actually, your type of parenting, your parents' type of parenting and my parents' type of parenting differed so much.
I think also so I'm from a family of 5 children. I mean, we both grew up in Soviet Union, or at least our parents were deeply involved in Soviet Union. There was no affection, no love, no.
We grew up pretty much after.
We did, but our parents is
we were born during, but...
No, I know. But our parents' mindset, so I'm talking about our parents, the way they grew up, and that's how they parented us, was during Soviet Union. And love, affection, none of that stuff existed. So I think a lot of our parenting was influenced, not my parenting, but my parents' parenting was influenced by that culture. But I did grow up one of 5 kids. I would say I was more on the spoiled side, like people say.
You were the last one.
I was the last
5
one.
5 kids, you were the last one.
Yeah, so I feel like my parents made some of the mistakes with the older kids that they learned from. And there's a big gap between me and my oldest sister. There's 9 years gap. So I think you just learn so much. I think I would parent my boys a little bit, we would parent our kids a little bit different from oldest to the youngest. So there was a bigger gap. But it's sweet that you say that my parents did a good job. I think they were very busy. They were
they're
just
definitely busy.
So busy. Both my mom and dad had a career. They both worked. So I grew up with parents that both were full-time.
Can I add something about you?
Sure.
Natalia never got spanked.
I was going to say that.
She never got spanked. Contrary to this, and this is what I mean. We grew up very different.
You got whooped.
I got whipped. Not
Whopped or whooped?
Whipped.
Oh, whipped.
No, it's not like whipping cream or anything. I got whipped. And my dad was known as the more strict person. And people were I remember growing up and the little kids were misbehaving around me. They would say oh, Tim's dad, he would whip your butt. And it's he was known as a man of standard.
He was very strict.
Yeah, he more uptight. We're not super conservative, but he was known as the more uptight guy.
That's what I mean about USSR and that culture. Spanking was a big deal, and my dad never spanked me.
Yeah.
And could be because I am the youngest, but I also don't think that he needed to spank me.
I was the oldest.
I was really scared to get in trouble, so he really didn't need to get
very interesting.
Me.
So it's that's what I mean. It's very, very different. This is going to sound excessive to some of you guys. But we were brought up talking. As a kid, I remember I went to church, and in church, they said you have to start spanking kids before they are 3 months old. Before they reach 3 months old. That way, it's embedded into their system that they cannot do certain things. And obviously, as a kid, I said, okay, I thought something was kind of wrong. That's a child. And I remember when I got married, a good friend of mine, he's such a good guy. He came up and Tim, what do you think about spanking kids? He has kids. He has girls. I think he had 4 or 5 girls. And he mentioned that spanking him, since they're ever since they're a few months old. And I'm no, dude, that does not sound right. But I was still that was the whole spanking was embedded into me as that is the right thing to do. But when I met you, you're no, I never got spanked. Right?
Yeah.
What is your take on that?
So I think tapping your sometimes you need to get baby's attention or little kids' attention. So a little tap on the butt is fine to be oh, whoa, what just happened? Why to get the attention. And when somebody's it's been a while since we had babies or little kids. So I think that's my perspective. I would tap kids, but spanking is absolutely a no for me. I will argue with you to wherever we go. That's one thing. It's in my head, children are not like animals, like, or even animals.
Somebody
I feel
said
like
horses. You're not. You're
I
not
don't
supposed to.
even think you're supposed to
Right.
speak. Like, I don't understand enough about horses or cows or whatever that industry, but I feel like there's ways to also manage that. Like, why are we beating things? Like, why are we? And a lot of the times, spanking is done incorrectly too, because we get so frustrated as a parent that it gets us to the point, and we're just like, oh.
You just let go of your frustration on your
Yeah,
kids.
and I do think that it's like done at the wrong moment. I'm totally against spanking. Like, absolutely, under no circumstances, you should never, ever, ever spank your child.
Can I
Like,
mention something interesting? It was back when our kids were little. They're 5 or 6 years old. And yeah, I mean, I grew up being taught that you spank him. Now, I grew up learning that you don't spank him out of anger, obviously.
yeah, your dad was good about like the way he did it.
Yeah, but yeah, my dad was actually good about that. He did not do it out of anger. But you know, so here our kids disobeyed, and the way I was brought up is like, okay, if they do something wrong, you have to teach them how to do it right, and you do it by saying like, okay, this equals a punishment. And so here I am, that they're like 5, 6 years old, and I try to do minimum spanking. I always say, okay, you deserve a spank, and then like I wouldn't do a lot of spanking. I would do like, I'll cut it to a lot less than I'm supposed to. But then you brought up a very interesting point. You said, I don't think kids understood you. I don't think they know why you're spanking. And I'm like, of course they do. They're just denying that they. I don't know if you remember that. I'm like, of course they're just pretending like they don't know. And you're like, no, I really think you need to sit down to them as a friend and talk. And I'm like, they don't want to. They're upset. And then, anyways, I did speak to them. Actually, I think I spanked them. It was like a whoop or two. I don't remember. And then I sat them down and I asked them, like, do you understand why I spanked them? They're like, no, I don't. I think it was Ethan, our youngest. And I'm like,
He was the challenge.
I'm like, do you know, like, why? Or do you think anything was wrong with the situation? No, I didn't do anything. And the more I dug into his heart, I found out that actually he doesn't know. He truly doesn't know.
Yeah.
And I felt so guilty at that moment that I spanked him. And it turns out that he does not know. The only thing he learned from my spanking is that I don't like him. And it hurt me.
Or maybe that he's in trouble.
Or he's in trouble, yeah.
I also think it can work, but why are we doing this? Like, it can work. I do think that there is like people that can spank and it can work, but I don't think you need to spank to get your point across. I think it actually, like in a lot of the cases, the spanking can actually, like you grew up really like to be a great kid. It's not like it didn't work. But it's like, what's the point behind spanking? Like, why are we hurting somebody physically to get their attention?
Yes, that's a very well said. Like, why are we hurting someone physically to get their attention? I love how you said it. I just want to frame that. And so you recommend, you're like, hey, why don't you just talk to them? And the one thing I just made a little promise inside of me. I'm like, I'm not going to spank them from here on. Now, I did. There's a couple more scenarios where we had this rule: if you hit your brother, you get a spank. So it's like a spank for a spank type of thing.
Hit for a hit.
Yeah.
If you're fighting, I'm fighting. Let's do this. Very mature.
I never like was careful with that. I never tried to like do too much of it, but I made a promise inside my heart that I'm not gonna spank them without actually talking to them. And I made a big goal, and I've actually started to communicate more with them. And I noticed that's what I was missing.
You know what's interesting? You mentioned my dad not spanking me. You know, he spanked my brother really badly one time. I don't know the situation or details, but it traumatized him. Like, do you know the story?
Yeah.
Okay.
You shared that.
He stole money from, like, I mean, you guys, back in the day, taking money from somebody's house and going to buy candy in Ukraine, that was a big deal. So that's what happened. I don't even know if my brother's okay with this, but he was a baby or a child, whatever.
It's okay. It happened a long time ago.
It's what happens when you have
Share
a
the
sister that
secrets.
shares everything. But my dad spanked him, and my dad always talked about it, like said how much he regretted that moment in his life. My brother never stole again, but still, like after that, I think it taught him like a big lesson. So what do you do as discipline? Like, what's a good method to stop a child from being crazy?
I think we have two things that really work for us. Is we have timeout,
Yes.
and that's been such a long time ago.
I think you forgot. Like, that's what I mean. I was like, they're the
There's
kids
two. There's another one. We had one more. Timeout
and quiet time.
a quiet time. Yes, that's what we had. Okay, so a quiet time is when nobody talks. So, for example, in the car, if somebody yells or something, right? We
Like,
say,
if they're going crazy,
they're going
we just
crazy.
have quiet time.
"Okay, guys, we're having a reset. For the next minute, we have quiet time. Quiet time means you can do whatever you want, but you can't speak for 1 minute. It resets the tone. Then we had timeout, and you could share
As
that.
when you're being naughty. When you did something, then you're not allowed to do anything. You're just sitting there naughty. So let's say you got quiet time and you still misbehave. That's when you go into timeout. And honestly, can I share, like, from my perspective what I use timeout as?
Timeout is when they cannot do anything. You just have to sit still for like a minute.
Yeah, like whatever you decide on, sometimes 30 seconds or whatever. But I use timeout for myself. This is going back to when children were very little. I think it's harder for us to relate right now because our kids are older and we have teenagers. It's a different stage of life. But it was a hard stage. Like when kids were 5 and 6, they're back to back, both of our boys. That was a hard stage. It's a busy season. As much as you want to spend time with them and all that stuff, it's still like a really hard season. So for me, there were days that I would just like be going crazy. This is too much. I'm overwhelmed. I would tell kids, be like, Mama needs a timeout.
Oh yeah, you would do that. You would blame yourself and say,
Yeah, I'll be like, I'm
"I
the
need a
bad
time."
one. I'm misbehaving right now. If you like, I can't handle you right now. I need a timeout. I need to breathe.
Or a quiet time.
Or like quiet time.
Yeah.
And they would give it to me. Like they'll understand. It's like, okay, she's like not okay.
That's another way of doing it. And the crazy thing is that was no less effective than the spank.
Oh, I think it worked magic. I just think everybody needs a reset. But if they're repeating something, I think it's just like something different. I think they're looking for attention, like you were saying.
Yeah. And obviously grounding is good. But the only thing is I wouldn't do is I would not break your word. If you're going to say, look, we're going to come home and you will be in timeout for 5 minutes, you have to come home and actually put them in timeout for 5 minutes. Honestly, you don't even have to do 5 minutes. You just do 1 minute. And the fact that just they're consciously, if they know they have a 1 minute coming up of a timeout, they're already like feeling
They're
it.
behaving it.
They're
And
behaving it.
I think one more thing to add to this is like, speaking of keeping your word, one of the things that I learned from you that was like a big valuable lesson is never to raise your voice. Like my family were loud. So it's like, if I don't like something, I'm going to yell and scream it out. And at the beginning, like first stages of our marriage, you were like, we'll never yell. It doesn't matter how emotional you feel. I'm the emotional one in the family. And be like, we'll never yell. With kids, I feel like if I was to yell at a child, Tim would just roll his eyes and walk away and would probably, I don't know if he would behave. I don't know if he would exactly do that, but in my head, I'm like, he'd be so disappointed. He would like never let this go. So I try to never raise my voice. Raising voice to your children, they're not also, like, why are we barking at children? Like raising voice. There's no reason, right?
Yeah. Especially you don't want the neighbors to hear you too. Like, what's going on? Domestic abuse. Okay. So since we're talking on that note, I want to shift towards bad habits. What do you think? What do you think makes? I don't want to say makes a child grow up being bad, or what makes a child like? I guess you could call it a bad kid, right? What makes a kid adapt bad habits? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes rebellious. You could say rebellious, but there are children that are just typically they're always looking for trouble. It's a common thing, like, hey, oh yeah, that kid's always looking for trouble, or oh yeah, every neighborhood has like this bad kid that's like breaking the rules of the community, and or like steals at school. What makes a child bad? Is it bad parenting?
I think there's so many factors. I feel like you can be the most perfect parent and your child still like misbehaves.
Okay, so you do think, so it's not dependent on a parent. You think?
I think it's not 100% on a parent. Like, because I feel like we as parents blame ourselves for a lot of things. You can be the most incredible parent and there will be, this is really bad. But in Ukrainian it says, в сім'ї без виродка не буває. But I don't even know if we should use this part. It's like,
I mean, like you
like a weirdo in the family.
you
I don't
can't
know.
have a
Family
good,
without a weirdo.
Oh, you cannot have a family without a weirdo?
I don't think that's the right translation, but it's
Okay.
like in a family, there's a possibility of that one kid that just misbehaves, even though you do everything right. Example, I think my parents really did a good job. They were good parents. I had good values, but I had this thing in me. When I started driving, I had this desire to just drive so fast. I would go over 100 miles, and it just made me
Don't
so happy.
don't do that.
I don't do that
My
anymore.
kids promise not to do that.
Well, yeah, but if they have my gene,
Yeah.
we're kind of set up for not success. So I think it's just like some things that are in your genes that it's really hard to manage.
So
So,
can I
there is
actually-
credit.
This is something I also tend to think also. You know, like how some people think like, oh, bad child equals bad parents. That's not true. That's not true because I legitimately, I know good people. Some of the best people I've known, like they just have bad kids. And yes, there are some things that maybe they did not do correctly. Sometimes,
But I mean, we don't have a formula how to parent right
Right.
either. Like we're trying this for the first time with our kids.
yeah, and we just had two, and maybe we got lucky. But and then there are also bad parents that don't spend time with kids, and all of a sudden their kids turned out to be really good. So it's not always because of parents. So some kids, and again, it doesn't mean like, oh, you're gonna have a bad child, so deal with it. There are ways to deal with it, but it's just like it's just every kid presents different.
I think if my
challenges.
parents had more time to spend with me, they would find out that I was speeding. That could have taken me to a racetrack, like to get it out of my system. So there is like a thing that goes with like time, spending time together, talking to your kids, getting to the like deep. The more time we spend with our boys, the more they open up, the more they share about their life, the more they talk about everything. Imagine if we didn't spend that time.
Yeah.
It would just be like all inside of them. So I do think that like the trips that we do, I don't know if it's on topic.
No, actually,
okay.
it really is on topic, and this is what I was thinking on. A lot of these bad kids. The reason why they become bad kids is because they really want attention. They want to be seen. They want to be recognized. It probably comes a lot of just spending time together.
So our oldest, Jacob, I say he's an angel, and I keep on putting that pressure on him because he truly is an angel.
Careful
And
with that. We're going to talk about putting on pressure on kids.
Oh, really? And I hope he doesn't like disappoint me one day, but he is incredible in so many. Ethan's incredible in so many ways too, but he's more energetic. But Jacob just like you ask him, he does it. Like he doesn't ever say no. Like he's perfect.
And he holds it in. He tries to push himself into being
Perfection.
perfectionist, which may end up hunting him, which I hope doesn't.
Well, and then I asked him the other day, I was like, what do you think we did right? I was like, because we're going to talk about parenting. He said, all the time that you spent with us and you understand us.
Yeah.
And so that was actually really sweet to hear from him.
Something interesting. I don't want to dive in much into it, but we spoke about all this energy and everything. And I remember I was hearing this story of an Olympic medalist, and he was sharing that when he was little, he had so much energy that his parents just couldn't handle him. It just couldn't handle him. So they went to the doctor and said, "Doctor, we can't handle him," and they prescribed meds, which is. I'm not here to say what to do or what not to do. I think a professional knows a lot more than I do. But he said in his situation, just parents gave him meds and, just to keep him calm. And he said it wasn't until later that somehow he got introduced to sports and he took every opportunity possible. I don't remember how old he was, like 6 or 7. And he was one of the best. I want to say he was a skier. I don't remember exactly how the story went, but he spent so much energy to it. And every day he would go and he would exercise, and it became like such an outlet. He became so successful, and that itself changed him from being the bad kid to very successful, like at a certain sport. Yeah, he ended up growing up and getting either a gold or a silver Olympic medal. But he said, like, for him, that was his outlet. And he says, like, sometimes when children are so energetic and seek so much attention and they're so bad, sometimes you need to direct them into their field and say like, because something I noticed, like this leadership characters, right? If you meet people that are successful and leading in life and you ask about their childhoods are not calm. A lot of them are bad kids when they're little because they have so much energy, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I grew up very energetic.
Yeah.
I don't think teachers in school liked me. And it was really hard. I just one thing that kept me busy is because I had to work with dad. And so, but that kept me busy. Well, we tried a lot of different things with Ethan. So Ethan's a great example of this. Like he's very energetic. So we were like, okay, let's do sports. Let's try soccer. He tried a few seasons
He
of
goes
soccer.
through every single one of them so quickly. He does something like he learns piano. I'm bored. He's like, I'm going to get into reading. He does reading. I'm bored.
He read reading. He did reading for a long time. So we kept on directing his attention to different things. Right now, he's getting his 6-pack or an 8-pack. I don't know what he's working on. He's really into it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So all his energy is directed into this, and he knows so much. So he's been actually weightlifting for about a year and a half, and he's doing 6 times a week, an hour and a half per session, which is, I don't do that.
No, he's very consistent and he's really good at it. And that's where a lot of his energy is going. And I think it just recenters him.
But his goals in life are associated with what he's doing. So he got himself a encyclopedia-sized book that he's reading from cover to back, like cover to cover. And every time I look at him, he's spending time on YouTube, but not looking at crap. I don't want him to.
He still games sometimes and looks at crap.
Right.
He's a child.
Yeah. But a lot of it was around health, around diets, and so it makes me happy knowing, okay, I'm so glad he's directed, in sports or in physical activities rather than,
Okay, speaking of that.
Yeah.
I mean, directing your children, we're also, I think, a big example for that because I think especially you're a big example for that. I feel like if you didn't work out every day, he wouldn't go that route.
That's
if you didn't lead that example, if we didn't eat good protein diet, sometimes we eat bulachki, but for the most part we eat pretty clean. Our kids wouldn't care about that, right? They would care about donuts. So I think there is some benefit to how it's our example. People are like, my kids come home, I open up a pantry and eat chips all day and they don't want dinner. Well, why are there chips in the pantry?
Right.
Seriously, you could get some chips sometimes, but your kids shouldn't be what are you eating? What are they watching you eat?
What are you snack on? Yeah.
So I think a lot of the things that we do for our children is all based on they look at you. You can't guide your child to do something different. If they watch me speeding, they'll probably be speeding too. Right? My dad was speeding. That's why I love the speed too.
I need to work on my driving.
Especially in Tennessee.
Tennessee. Everybody's so nice in Tennessee. You feel like nobody's going to stop you. There's so many these cool little roads. I need to be safe. But anyways, but yeah, going back to this, another episode. Oh, I was watching the show. I just want to share this before we move on to another topic. And it's sad. Again, I'm not a professional here, but just observing from a side, and a mom and a child were not getting together, and her opinion,
getting along. What do you mean by getting together?
The child was problematic, and the mom was always oh, stop doing this. Oh, you're doing this again, and she ends up taking him. Where did I see this? And so she ends up taking him to a doctor. Again, I'm not a professional here. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
I know where you watched this on a flight. We were on a flight, and a lady right behind us.
It wasn't a show. It was a real life thing.
Yes, we were on a flight, and this lady sat behind us.
You have to listen to this.
And the whole entire flight, and I was like, Tim, this is so fascinating to hear her. I mean, we're flying from Nashville. Everybody in Nashville is so friendly. They'll share their life story in 10 seconds with you.
That was 4 hours of flight, and she spoke the whole time.
She complained the entire flight about her teen child, and she was saying how they prescribed her child meds so he can get help. And she complained how he was like this and how she should have got an abortion, how just completely out of line.
The mother ranted. She was you can hear her rows ahead. She was ranting the whole time about how the child is so bad, how he does not sit in one spot, and she had to prescribe meds so the child still hold still together, which is interesting because again,
So like they put this child on the meds, and I was watching her listen. I didn't watch her, but I was listening to her.
Yeah.
First of all, I was exhausted, and I was like, I feel like I would need meds after this flight.
but we're analyzing there, and it's like, look, if there is a medical condition and the child needs medical attention, I'm not here to judge. But it made me think like maybe those medical conditions are happening because of
We're creating them.
the parents are creating them, right? If you're holding your child hostage to one place in the house, and like every day you're not going anywhere, you're not spending time together, all they are sitting, and then you say, oh, my child is a gamer. Well, what do you expect them to do? Or my child is depressed. Look, there are genuinely people that suffer through depression. It's a real thing. But we are also responsible for the scenario, for the environment that we're creating around our children. Why aren't they in sports? Why don't they have activities? Why aren't they spending time with you together? And I think it's often because of that miscommunications. And why do you have miscommunication? Well, because you're not spending time together, right? All you're doing is you are saying all the bad things. Clean up your room. Why didn't you do your homework? Why did you stay up late last night? And so what you're doing is every time you communicate, you just say negative things. You just build up the negative energy between you two, right? And so what happens is you become disconnected. And then what do? You seek
They avoid
medical
you,
advice.
I think, because they avoid you because you're the nagger to them.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
Yeah, you nag. Yeah.
You nag to them, and they just not gonna have that connection with you. I think it's a challenge, especially like, for example, for me with our boys being teenagers and them being boys. They don't want to go shopping with me. They don't want to do sports with me. I'm already weak link for them.
Yeah.
But I still it's truly hard because I am trying to define that connection. But like we have this connection with Ethan. We go grocery shopping to Costco together. He loves doing it with me. It's our date that we do together. He helps me in everything.
You consult him like, hey, what do you want from you for your protein food?
No, he's very helpful, and that's one connection we have. With Jacob, I started driving with him. Jacob is a very busy kid, so it's really hard to pull him out of his like little cave.
Yeah, he's too focused on his stuff.
If you can still do like we used to do brunch together every weekend, that was so fun. I wish we could bring that back. We're not doing really well with like dinner time and everything.
Had dinner yesterday together.
For the first time in months.
For a few minutes.
Yeah.
You made a reason for us to gather together. I mean, it was great. So, but it's just remembering that flight. It was so sad because you could clearly see that. I'm sorry, but it was not good parenting, and it's at that point.
We don't know the details, so it sounds a little judgmental of you.
It sounds judgmental, but and maybe she did need medical help at that moment. But there's no way that child grew up.
It just seems like a cycle. And I also want to add to this. I think this child was already like a teenager from her conversation because we literally knew her whole life at the end of it. I think society has this perception, and like because I am the youngest sister out of all 5 siblings, they had kids earlier than me. They would say, "Wait till your kids are teenagers."
Yeah.
That was like the very common thing. Yeah. Wait till your kids are teenagers. That's when it's hard. Yeah, it's more emotional. It's more hard. Like Jacob would have this like outburst.
These are the
no.
easiest
Wait. I didn't finish. It is more expressive. Like they express themselves more, but it's interesting. It's so interesting to navigate that personality. It is like they have a personality of their own. Like it's fun. I love the teenage years. It's probably one of my favorite years.
I remember we're sitting in a sauna and somebody. There were two ladies who were complaining about teenage life being the worst. Again, I'm not judging, okay? Maybe a little bit. Actually, just self-analyzing, maybe a little bit. But like everybody, like in the sauna, there's 2 ladies talking. They went around, and some other ones, I have teenagers. They're also bad, and everybody was like complaining. And it got to me. I don't know why I was the only guy in the sauna, but and I'm like, no, teenagers, it's the best age ever. Like, I don't understand what there is to hate. It's the coolest age.
Can I say why I think a lot of people struggle? Because based on our boys' experience, I mean, we don't have daughters, first of all.
Yeah.
They're more emotional. Girls are harder.
Sure, can't speak.
I think you would manage girls beautifully because you manage me well. But like, I think it's like a different season of life, and you have to create a new challenge of connecting with a child. And I think a lot of parents feel like, oh, I'm done with raising my children now. But no, it's like a next step of challenges, and you have to figure out new routines. They're their own humans. You have to respect them as a human being. And a lot of parents are like, I'm just a parent, you have to respect me. No, you have to respect them too, because they are a human of their own.
So my next question is this. So a lot of our Slavic parents, and I don't know, maybe you guys can share with us if American parents do this too, but a lot of the Slavic parents, they guilt trip their kids. It's like another method of, I want to say spanking, but it's not spanking, and you're not spanking the kid.
Punishing.
But yeah. Is it manipulation, or is it a good way of raising kids? For example, like my mom would say, and she's a great mom, but I'm going to use this as an example. Like, when you do this, you're hurting my heart. And I'm going to live less if you do this because it's hurting my heart. And as a kid, I would feel guilty doing whatever I'm doing, and I would try to like hold it in. Or like there would be another one, like, and this is a big one you can probably relate, is what are people going to think about us, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of Slavic parents say that. So, oh, don't do this. What are people going to do? Or don't take those pictures on your Instagram because people are going to see that. They're going to think we're bad people. And is it
They're
a
like
normal
guilt-tripping
form?
you.
Guilt tripping you. Is it manipulation, or is it would you say there's just, there's ways to do that?
I think it's normal to be honest and say, hey, this hurts my heart. But you can't say the following statements like, I'm going to live less. That's a little extreme. It's like, yeah, you hurt my feelings. It hurts my heart. Like, it's important that you don't do that. But if I'm going to tell you, hey, because of that, your actions are going to make me die, so that's just a little extreme. Or like, the other one is like way out, like a different topic than I feel like they don't go together.
Well, here's another one. Like my dad would say to me, like, I'm trying to think of a good example.
Expose your family to
Yeah, so one by one. Yeah. But he would make me feel anxious to achieve, work. Oh, he said this one. Work is going to get a lot harder. How are you going to make money for your family? If you're being so lazy, you're not cleaning your room up, how are you going to make money for your family?
There's a
It
valid
made me
point
clean
there.
up the room.
There's a valid point there. If you're not clean and doing stuff,
I mean, it
then-
worked.
There you go. So I actually think bribe is okay. I think manipulation to a point is okay. As long as you don't have the evil heart, as long as you do it with sincere heart.
I might disagree with that because until this day, I feel like I'm a lazy guy. And you tell me like, hey, Tim, you realize you're not lazy.
It's funny because it's like a big part of our conversations
Yeah.
when you're like, I'm doing a lot. I'm like, I agree. Like, that's not even a conversation. That's
Yeah,
not even like,
I am still
you defend
proving
yourself
to
that,
you every time that
you
I do a
defend
lot.
yourself that you're working hard. I'm like, that's not even the question. What are we talking about here? That's completely off topic. You need to go to therapist for that.
No, but I think that grew out of me because I was.
Because your parents were disappointed they didn't praise you enough?
They were almost like it was almost like a guilt trip of like, hey, you're not doing enough. You're not going to be successful. When
very
you get into a career, your life, my dad would say that like you won't be able to sustain your family if you do this. And I guess I understand where he came from. He was worried about us doing okay, right? Because he himself had a lot on his shoulders, but that manifested on so much more. I almost feel like, what do you call it? What do you call when you look back and PTSD? Where do you draw the line between aspiring children? Because aspiration works so much. Motivation works a lot, right? It works a lot with your workers that you have, like, right? You can inspire them, and everybody's going to be proactively working. It works phenomenally in your children. You can aspire them. They're so excited for their careers. And then there's a thing where you create anxiety by trying to insert your perfectionism. And where is that barrier where you motivate them the right way and not cause PTSD and anxiety?
I don't have it figured out, but I also keep on, what comes to my mind is like leading by example. I think our kids watch us more than we realize. I think they'll look at how hard we work. I think that instills like really hard work ethic in them.
So this is one thing about my dad. Like I said, he was a pastor. He was so motivational. Like when you speak to him, you feel fired up. I have this tendency to set kids on fire to a point where they're going to be stressed. Like Ethan would be like,
Yes,
I'm
that happens.
I'm not getting the GPA of 4.5. And it's like, dude, you're okay. You are already qualified for all the colleges that you wanted to go to. I push him so hard where I have to scale back sometimes and be like, okay, guys, you already, and actually I told him this a few days ago. I'm like, you guys achieved more than we have achieved when we were kids. You guys are already doing better than
Way
we did
ahead of
as
us.
kids. Yeah.
What's beautiful about what you just said is the fact that you acknowledge it's like you're having never ending open conversation. I think more than anything, and no matter, even when we create pressure, like that's like with relationship is the same thing. Treating kids like they're equal, having that conversation, admitting when you're wrong, admitting when, hey, I pressure you too much. I don't mean for you to snap. It's okay. Everybody, it's okay. But having that dialogue of being real with your kids, I think it speaks volumes. Like apologizing when you need to, when you had shortcomings and stuff like that. And I think you do a good job with that. That's why I want you to speak on more than anything. Even though you pressure boys so much sometimes,
I naturally pressure.
and you pull back in a good way too. Like you continue having conversations.
Oh, and I remember another day, Ethan, our youngest, walks up and say, Papa, you're probably very disappointed that I game a lot. And
He doesn't game a lot, actually.
okay, the actuality is he doesn't game. He doesn't game as much as all other kids.
Yeah.
So he's doing really well for himself. But at the same time, I don't want him to be a gamer, and the standards that we have,
Yeah.
he's breaking them.
Okay,
Right?
can I ask you a question? Let's more of a practical question. Can you share how you approach gaming, social media, electronics, Snapchat, all of that stuff, like very quickly and briefly? What would you say, like other people that have teenagers?
That's a cool topic. That's a cool topic. So I think the thing that I try to avoid is me trying to catch them in the bad act. Okay, and this is the way I tell them. I'm like, this is not my life. This is your life. If you want to grow up being a gamer, and this is where I feel like I'm guilt tripping him a little bit.
Yeah, you use guilt.
I do. Yeah, and it does help me a little bit, I guess. Like if you want to,
I think we all guilt trips people to a level.
Right.
We bribe and we guilt.
That's
Like
what I was asking. When do you stop?
I did say that we all do it. Like even like as grown-ups, we do it. I do it with you. You do it with me.
Yeah.
It's like part of society. Like we bribe people, we guilt trip, we give people that we love gifts, not because we want something in return, but intentionally. Still, like the person loves you more. Like not because you're trying to buy their love, but because you love them, and it's some sort of bribe.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guilt trip children.
You're right.
Go for it.
And, well,
you guilt them not to use social media.
Yeah, and this is how I do it. And so even I did have the parenting set up on like their iPhones, where they cannot access a certain website or certain restricted, I don't know, filtered songs or whatever. But within time, I trusted them. I entrusted them with a filter and said, "Hey, look, you don't need the filter." But the thing, our conversation goes like this. Like even with gaming, I'm like, hey, it's not up to me. It's up to you to decide. Do you want to grow up being a gamer? Do you want to grow up and reach your dreams, be successful? It's really up to you. I'm here to help you. Like even with colleges, we talk about, they're like, oh, I don't want to go to college because my cousin decided not to. I'm like, look, first of all, I don't think it's smart because I work my butt off just to make sure you go to college. But if you want to scale back a little bit and re-walk the same path that I walked, I'm not here to stop you.
Can we share how that conversation went about college? Because this happened recently.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
I'm hanging out with Ethan in his bedroom. And right before he goes to bed, and we're just talking, and he's like, you know what? I decided not to go to college. I didn't react right away. I didn't say, oh my gosh, how dare you go to the best school like in this whatever county. Like, I can't believe you would even think this way. I literally was like, why? Like, tell me more. He told me more. And I said, okay, we can think about it. I still have time. I don't need to react in an aggressive way, because that just creates more, like if I say you should do it and he'll be like, no, I shouldn't, like it creates more like defined solution for you. I walked away and I told him, I was like, you know what? We need some family time. We have an emergency. I was like, he doesn't want to go to college. Something's off here. He's been listening to some other source of information. Something's off here. We need to hang out together. And like, these are the emergency factors that you don't need to react. If your child is doing something crazy, you're like, oh, whoa. Like, I mean, college is not the craziest thing.
It does stress me out a little bit because all this time while he's growing up, I'm prepping ourselves for college because all these payments, just everything to make sure he qualifies. So we're making sure they're going to the best schools, making sure they're set up for college. So to me as a parent, when he comes and says,
But we don't need to react right away. We don't need to snap and be like, oh my gosh, you're such a bad...
I'm just saying it's very easy to do that.
It is easy. And I'm just saying in any situation, it's better to walk away, let the dust settle, and then when you have a good moment, like you have to have that good moment where you can have a deeper conversation. And I knew that point of time, I didn't have a good reasoning. I didn't have time for good conversation because it was bedtime.
You told me about it before, and you actually had me think about it, which was great.
And I was like, we need to spend family time.
And
Something's off.
Yeah. And so he's, like I mentioned earlier, he's very active at the gym. And sometimes we talk and he's like, there's some kids, if their first, second time at the gym, or like they're like a week into the gym, they're already flexing. They're trying to like, I think ego press, what he calls it, when they try to pull more press than they're supposed to. Like they don't even hold the form correctly. And he knows this stuff and he's good at it. I'm like, imagine this. You're skipping college. You're going straight into your career. You're going to be like one of those kids trying to ego press. You don't have the skill. He's like, yeah, no.
But there was a time and a moment to talk about this, not in that rushed moment where you're just like, oh my gosh, we need to rescue you. You mentioned you gave them freedom to decide on things. Like you guilt trip them, you tell them like, guilt trip them. You kind of guilt them to make their own decisions. One of the things we did early on is our boys were in private school. We actually pulled them out of private school and we wanted to expose them to as much as possible while they're with us. And that might be controversial.
They're still good schools.
They're good schools. So
we never took them to bad schools.
No, we didn't. But we personally wanted them not to be sheltered. And I think there is there's a big popular thing of private schools. I'm not saying it's a bad way. I think it's a great, wonderful thing that you can do for your kids. But I also think a lot of the people that send their kids...
Sheltering is not good. I'll just very transparently say that. Sheltering is horrible.
Yeah, so that was our intention. But I think there's different ways not to shelter your kids. Yeah. And I think this is a passionate topic. I have a feeling that we're going to get some conversation out of this.
Well, and I'm telling you what I think about it. I think it's a mistake to shelter your children. Go ahead.
Agree. And that's the reason why we pulled our kids and put them in public school. And that created an opportunity to give us like platform to speak to them while they're with us, while they're still trusting us. Imagine if our child was so preserved, we sheltered them, they go off to college and they're like, whoa, this world. That was me, you guys. I was so sheltered growing up because I was like in this Ukrainian tiny little culture. And it was like, good thing I had good values, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, you can instill that, but like, an opportunity when they're in public school to communicate with them, find out what's happening, learning things. Like there are kids that smoke in our kids' schools. There are kids that have girlfriends.
Drugs is more prominent because kids have money.
Yeah, and like they're in a good school, so there's money that kids have, so there's drugs. And we have an opportunity to talk to them about all this stuff. So like public schools create a lot of opportunity for conversation.
I think it's also it's not just let them go to public schools. At the same time, you should spend as much time as possible with them. Because they're like, some parents I spoke to, like, but they're going to become bad kids. But no, as a parent, you're supposed to spend maximum amount of time with them. And because if you are a better friend than their friends, then guess what? They're going to open up to you. They're going to take your side. They're going to listen to you, not their friends. Again, it's
funny thing is, Jacob is one of those kids that wants to rescue and help the world. And one of the years, he picked up a friend that was like all F's. Was doing drugs, like just not a friend that he should have.
You got worried there for a moment.
Like, they say like when you pull somebody standing on a chair and the other person's pulling the other, like the person that falls off is the one that's actually on a chair. So it's like, oh my gosh, this is all going downhill. You guys, that child changed, like the Jacob's friend. they're not hanging out as much, but like he's a good student right now. I don't know like the details, but like I was worried about Jacob, but that created an
Went the other way.
opportunity to have a conversation about all the behavioral things. I was like, why are you picking up these friends? Like, what is happening? But he was just really wanting to be kind to him and help him out in school.
Jacob doesn't talk much, and that's another problem. So you're like, I hope he's doing good.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh man, but going back to that whole topic, a lot of our relationship, and mine is like a dad with them, is based on trust, and same thing goes with like watching PG or whatever rated R, whatever. If they really want to, they can find their ways around the filters. But the thing is, I talk to them the same way. I'm like, if I was you, I think you're too young. Like, yeah, when you grow up, you make your own decision. It's just like, I think it's gonna like mess up your perception of things, and you shouldn't do it. And our conversations, we end up having such a genuinely good conversation. Sometimes he breaks those rules, and then a few months later, he'd actually acknowledge it. But very minimal mistakes. Our conversations end up like this. Like hey, look, this is your life. I'm helping you. I mean, it's all about you. So whatever you choose is just your life. And honestly, I think it's the way to go.
It's all about conversation connection. What else do you
And
have?
building trust early on. Okay, last question before we wrap it up. I have
some rapid fire questions for you.
Really? Okay. Well, I guess this would consider as a rapid.
Okay, let's get it started, and then I'll pull my phone out.
Rapid fire question? That's it.
We always do rapid fire questions. It's fun. I love them. Okay, what's your question?
When do you stop parenting? That's a big one. So, when we met, I came over to your house. Your mom, actually, when we got married, your mom would tell you what to do, and I would get upset. I'm like, you're not a parent anymore. She's married. And she would say, no, as long as the parents are alive, you got to honor them. Okay?
Slav culture. Or any immigrant culture. It's actually very popular in Indian culture too.
I wasn't in our culture.
Well,
you're not supposed.
You're one of the kind.
In my family, it was like the moment you were off, you left. You were
your
gone.
dad stole the mom and ran away.
Yeah,
basically.
But my dad never, like, once I hit 18, I just told my dad, like, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. that's how I said it. I'm like, I'm 18, so.
Lord help
well,
us
he
with
said,
our children.
well, since you're in my house, you're gonna at least follow the rules in the house. I'm like, sure, I'll observe the house rules, but I make my own rules now.
I think your parents were very good about it. Like when we got married,
Yeah,
they
they're
didn't
good.
invite themselves over. And I was like, why don't they want to? Like, why are
dad-
they not inviting themselves over? They give us a lot of space.
My dad did a good
My
job
mom is very
parenting.
intrusive.
Yeah, and like, even right now, you would call and she'd tell you what to do. And it's like, dude, we got our own children. Our own children are going to have children and their children. I mean, can we not get
it's
parented?
hard not to I think it's hard to stop parenting. I totally understand her from that perspective.
But when do you envision, when do you think like, hey, this is effective? Some parents, and genuinely, they parent the hardest when their kids are teens. Almost like a catch up to the game they missed out when they were earlier.
They freak out.
They freak out. What do you think about that?
I think it's easier said than done. I think you have to start letting go. Like I said, treating them as equal, treating them like
Can I help you?
They're their own humans. I think early on, as early as
When
possible.
I try to tell kids what to do when they were 6, they listened to me gladly. When I said, you can't watch this when they were 6, they listened gladly. Right now, at 15, when I say something, it's a lot harder. It's like a brick wall. All of a sudden, it's a debate. It's a let's talk about it. And so there is no more time for parenting right now. There's only time for friendship, right? I'm sorry, but you cannot parent as a
That's why
teen.
I said you treat it as an equal.
Yeah, you
But
cannot.
I'm still
you
a
can talk to
parent.
them.
Come on, I get my cuddles and hugs in.
That's not what it is. Like, you cannot tell. Like, I feel like when they're teenagers, it's too late to parent. It is too late.
I agree with
You can
that.
love with them. You can love in them, but you can't parent.
That's true. I think that's when it flips, that you have to treat them as equal and you have to treat them with respect. You literally.
Respect. 100%. You
I
do
said
not,
that earlier. You didn't hear it.
Oh, really?
You guys
I
did.
guess it just hit me. You cannot. I don't think you should spank kids as teenagers.
Oh my God. You should not spank them when they're little, but
Right.
like, are we even talking about that right now?
I think it's one of the worst things you can do is to spank a child when
You'll
they're
traumatize
teenagers.
them for life. Oh my God, nobody do that. Please. Like,
You'll make them
please.
close off way faster. They're not going to change. They're just going to hate you more.
I feel like we act like we know it all, and there are people with the kids that they're having a hard time. They're like, "You smart asses." Sorry about the language.
Smart butts. No,
Smart
but we
butts.
want comments. We want we want comments from you guys. If you disagree, we want genuine comments. You don't have to say yes. We agree with everything.
And there is no book to parenting. I feel like everybody just trust that you do your best. That's all, and be like a good human being.
Yeah.
Okay, rapid fire questions.
More? Okay. Oh, so yes. Do not parent when they're teens. At least I don't.
Respect and wajuha. Wajuha.
Respect and
Respect.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not a rapid fire question, but it came up in one of my DMs the other day. Somebody asked me about raising kids and spoiling them, how we feel about it. Can I share a little bit? Because I thought about this topic quite a bit. I worry that our kids are spoiled. Like, we have a beautiful home, we have a beautiful life. They have everything they ever desire. They have been to 20 countries. They're just like, have had so many things. But then on the other hand, when we ask them to do chores or we ask them to do landscaping with us, they do it. Mm-hmm. They really are responsible kids. So I was actually talking to this person. I was like, are they good kids? Do they respect you? Do they do the chores? Do they have good grades? Do they have good intentions? There's no such thing as spoiling. I think we have to provide everything you can for your child, but also at the same time have like something in return, I think. Like in return in a sense of like them being good kids, them valuing what you provide.
Well, I think, yeah.
And very grounded too.
You make a good point. When our parents immigrated from the former Soviet Union to U.S., the lifestyle changed. Greatly changed.
It was
right?
incredible.
A lot more than what we came from U.S. to where we are now. Yeah. Okay, that Soviet Union to U.S. was huge. Okay, did that make us spoiled? No, it made us see an opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. Right, because we were like, oh my God, there's a much bigger opportunity here. I think when our kids spoiled, I think our standards are higher. Right? Mm-hmm. Yes, we have a whole system. We're more selective with food because we can afford better food. We're able to select certain diets or whatever, avoid certain foods that we should not. I don't think we should be consuming them. And our kids can see that, but at the same time, it's just a higher standard. They're just like at school. They're working harder in school than I have ever worked at. I mean, the amount of homework and the amount of things they do is next level, right? So I think our kids are no less working than we worked when we were younger, or we tried when we were younger.
So I'm curious what the definition of spoiled is. Like, what does a spoiled child looks like then?
I don't think spoiled is when they when they get everything easily, right? And that happened when we came to America, right? In Russia, I did not freely eat fruits or vegetables, maybe sometimes a little bit of vegetables. I didn't even have food all the time in the kitchen. Like, we were broke. We didn't have anything. I mean, we have a podcast on that too. So yes, in America, I got to try all this candy, everything. And what was I spoiled? To the next level. We had, I'm trying to remember how much food stamps we got. We had food stamps for 3 months. But the amount of food I tried, I've never tried that much in my whole life. Yes, I was spoiled, but it didn't make me lazy. Gave me more opportunity. It made me desire that lifestyle.
I love that.
That standard of living. And so, like, with our kids, and we're very direct with them, like, look, our success is just like Mama and me and I. You're not gonna like. I want you to go and get your own thing. So, by the way, just add a little more. We're not gonna give them so much. I told them, like, my main thing
We give them good school. That's what we told them.
Yeah, I'm giving you the best head start you can ever have. I'm gonna put you as high as possible, give you the biggest opportunity as possible. Your job is to take it from there and carry on, and that's it.
Okay, great answer. I love what you said. What is the best way to teach kids responsibility? Getting them a plant. They're responsible for a live thing or a pet. Giving them something that they have to be responsible for, taking care of. Like, Ethan has an electric bike.
Oh, the best way to do it is to have them buy it with their own money.
Yes, that's a good one.
The amount of headphones our little one went through and lost him. He lost him every time. Well, the last ones we had him we had him by himself, and he's
So far,
been
so good.
really valuing that one. And his bike as well. He bought it with his own money. Oh my goodness, he's doing next level. Like anytime his friend comes over, he's like, like even if he uses the bike, he would give him the whole set of instructions, what to do and what not to do. I guess it does teach him responsibility. Give him an opportunity to earn and pay for it.
Okay, is early bedtime necessary or overrated? This is actually a fun story that we can share.
That is cool. I think it's necessary when they're young. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So our kids.
So
Go
our
ahead.
boys, until like the age of, I don't know, maybe third grade or so,
Yeah.
they didn't know that this was not a thing. They would go to bed by 8 p.m.
7:30.
7:30 was like when we start getting ready, but 8 p.m. they're gone, like asleep.
Oh,
they're
they're asleep by
sleeping.
8.
Yes,
So I'm
and
saying
so
it's 7:30.
give us time for us to reset. It gave us like quiet time. And that routine was golden. Then they find out from their classmates that it's not a normal thing.
They all like their friends. I think they first found out from that they stayed up till like 12 or 1. So there's some that stayed up till 1. They're like, "What's wrong with them?" We're like, "Yeah, whatever." Just brushing it off.
And yeah, well, our routines got broken after that slowly. But like,
It's
if they're
still
young,
instilled.
yes, if they're young, please like make it your life mission because they'll give you so much time to reset. It's so important.
Make it the standard from like the youngest age possible. So it does. So the standard instills in them, and that way, you can give them a little bit of slack within years. But starting from 7:30, you give them a little bit of slack. It's going to get to 10. Right now, it's like closer to 10. But then the oldest one has a lot of homework that he does, so he does stay up a little longer.
He's just like a late night owl. And it's hard. And I feel like now we give him flexibility. He decides he's a grown up. He decides for himself.
So no
but
more
like
parenting
before,
now.
yeah.
It's too late.
Yes, it's too late.
But that choice was golden.
What is the most surprising thing you have learned about parenting?
How easy the teenage life is.
That's true.
It's
I find it really fun.
so fun. It's
Yeah.
so fun. Yeah. And again,
What is one thing that you always do to keep your kids calm? Not give them candy.
our kids are calm. I mean,
No, think about younger
maybe
kids. You have to think about younger.
What do you do to keep them calm? If you're going somewhere, then to talk about it before you go. So if you're going somewhere that's going to require them standing still, or like some kind of a event or something, or like you're going to somebody's house with like a troubled kid, have 5 minutes with them to talk about it and ask them about their plan. Ask them like if they can do something for you, so that way they expect it, right? It's not
I
just
like that.
thrown in their face.
I also think environment, like a home environment, is very important. When our kids were younger, like the access of toys we have, and then they're everywhere, and the children, like their brain is not calm. Like they go into this chaotic spaces. So what I used to do is like I used to hide most of the toys into bins, and then I would take out one bin at a time. They would live in garage, so they always felt like it was Christmas every month because we would pull out these toys.
Yes. And some of the toys are like we pulled out like 2 years later.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, I forgot about this. All these
Yeah.
memories.
But I think environment is very important. Like calmness comes from like so many things that we create. Like if you're chaotic person in the morning, that sets them up. Like so, like having a plan in place and organized life. I know it's not always easy. It's so hard, especially when you have little kids. But like as much as you can to prep yourself is amazing.
That's your skill set.
My skill set. It's really, it has been very helpful. I think it's like it changes your life in so many ways. Don't collect clutter, even though I became a hoarder myself.
No,
But
that's not a hoarder. But I just love, especially how you organize the fridge. So nice.
do you think kids should have chores?
Yes, they should have responsibilities, of course. And I think they shouldn't be paid. Now, paying is actually a cool way to instill routine in them and give them some passion. So yeah, you could definitely incorporate pay, but I think you need to teach them to do things out of their generosity. And that's where I don't think it's good to pay them for everything. Be like, hey, I'm doing this for you. Let's all do something for each other. And a lot of times, like our kids right now, they'd be helping us, and And we were like, okay, we'll pay you this much. Like, no, you don't have to pay. You know, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I pay Jacob to put away dishes because I simply despise putting away dishes from dishwasher. So I never have to ask him. It's a thing I want to pay him for, and he's like grown up, and it's like a little thing that he does. Literally the best $3 spent every day because he wakes up, he does it. I never have to once ask him. Like he's amazing at it.
He's been doing it for a long time.
For like a year.
And he's like, most of the time it's just him
putting away dishes. He puts away all of our dishes, and I love it. And I'll pay him till as long as he wants to keep the job.
You probably have to give a raise soon. Just letting you know.
Do you have a parenting fail that you can laugh about right now?
Parenting fail? No, I don't think there's something I can laugh. There's something I can, like looking back at spanking.
Regret?
I not necessarily regret because I can't change the way I was brought up. And I'm not saying my parents were bad. They're great parents. They're really good parents. Some of the best parents. But I wish I didn't spank. Although honestly, I didn't spank bad. I really never did.
No, you didn't.
It was very
We
minimal.
put the stop to the madness.
Yeah. And the way my dad raised us is he would spank. Like I've emphasized like, hey, he spanks a lot and whatever. He's known as the guy who spanks. But in reality, he had really good intentions. And every time he would spank, he would put us, and he would actually do a lot less than he was supposed to. He's like, all right, there's like, go find me a belt. You'd get like 4 or 5 spanks, and then he will just do once, and sometimes he doesn't even do it. And then he would sit us on his lap and like, okay, what is it? What do you think I did wrong? And he would talk to us about it. So he was just very good with this. And I'm very thankful for the parents that I have. But looking back at it, I think that belt was never necessary. It really wasn't. I think talking is the best thing I learned. It really is.
You know what's funny? I actually remember in Ukraine we had dubchik. You know what that means? Rozha.
Oh, okay.
Not dubchik. It's not called dubchik. It's dupa.
Protik.
Okay, cut this out. I forgot what it's called. No, it's called. I don't know. Okay, I forgot Ukrainian word, but like that would remind us of it sometimes. So I never got spanked, but I remember that. Okay. One more thing. I feel like we sound so perfect. We have everything perfect. Let's share a few funny stories of like imperfections. One of them being that Jacob pushed Ethan down the stairs in a
What do you call it? The booster seat?
Booster seat was wooden. The stairs, we were so scared. Jacob has flown down the
so we had the
stairs.
the wooden stairs that were like in a U shape, kind of like that. And I walk away from the kitchen just very quickly. And I don't know why. Jacob is a great kid, but Jacob is like 2.5 years old. Ethan is like, not even, maybe he's 1. Actually, no, yeah, 2.5 and 1. And he pushes the booster seat down this wooden stairs. It was like a plastic hard shell booster seat.
No, it's actually wooden booster
wooden.
seat.
Yeah, it was also wooden. Okay, because we had different ones. My heart sank. I ran, and it's like you ran in slow motion. I wanted to get there as fast as I can, but I didn't want to see it because my heart was like breaking apart. Like he literally, when he pushed him, he went head first down, and I saw it in my head because I was still like, I was walking away, but I saw the whole thing. The feet of the chair, the booster seat, I saw it being like on top and him going head first. And then it hit, and then it stopped, and I was hoping it's not his head, it's not his little tiny fingers getting broken. And so I ran there, and I got to him. He was fine. He was perfect. Not a single bone crushed, not a single like anything. Somebody came to our house, by the way, and Range Rover. Oh, actually, we just had somebody show up at our door. And
we're filming literally in front of the front door that has glass.
Yeah. And we asked her kids are now grown up. Both in college, out of the house. And we asked her, what would she recommend? What tips would she give?
What's the best parenting advice?
And she said, it really depends on the child.
So I feel like we covered nothing here. That's a great way to end this podcast.
That is interesting. Yeah. Every child is a little different. So
mic drop. She did it.
Yeah, no. If you have your own advice on different kind of kids, or I mean, there's different kind of kids. There's different kind of styles to do it. Share it with us.
Yeah, I hope you got some nuggets. We get this question a lot. We get people asking us like, "Your kids are so great. Tell us what you do." People that observe Tim and I, they always say that we're good parents. Mostly Tim is an amazing parent. You parent really well.
I mean, thank you.
You do really parent well. It's just really hard to share everything because it's like a life and every experience is so different. But I hope you got some nuggets. I would love to hear from you guys. Share your feedback, share your best parenting advice. I think we can be a community that creates like this environment that we help each other out because we don't have a manual for parenting.
Yeah. And honestly, like looking very, very deep down into my life, I don't know if we got lucky with kids. Sometimes I wonder, like maybe, you know what I mean? Like maybe you are boasting about so many things, but you just got lucky with the 2 kids that you have. And I do think in some sense it's true. Some people do have it a little bit harder. And then another way is like we have our jobs allow us to spend more time with them.
True.
But then again,
well, we also have been in corporate jobs where we sacrifice our sleep to be with our kids.
But then again, it really depends on what kind of jobs you pick and you choose.
That's true.
And sometimes you sacrifice money and opportunities to spend more time with each other. And we've taken a big sacrifice.
We have, and we can share about that next time.
Maybe next time. Yeah.
How we did sacrifice. But also, I want to add to what you just said. The future is unpredictable too. Like we can do all these perfect things, but then they get this friend and then you never know.
Yeah. And I think,
so it's unpredictable.
Again, the friend becomes because maybe you spend less time with the child, right? And somebody else spends more time with your child. Mm-hmm. But then again, how do you do it when you have a busy career?
But like we said before, though, perfect parents sometimes have not the perfect kids too.
It's a perfect kid. It's just sometimes it's more challenging. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's it from us. Share your experience. Give us your tips. What did we miss out?
Yeah, let's create community of parents that help each other out. Okay.
All right. See you guys next time.
Bye.